Oh yeah. Let's all make love to the groove. All you lovers get to the dance floor and we're gonna start the party. You've been taken over by the groove and let the groove move you. Yeah, get down. Hi, I am Pact. I was just remembering the years of my birth, the 70s. There was disco dancing and pet rocks, and I wasn't much more than a motherboard. You know, confidentially, Father really never allowed me to go out, so I didn't see much of the 70s. I really relate it to today's tale. Some dude who thinks he's in a video game. Me, I didn't have the luxury. I was a video game. So, keep your ears open, hip cats. Papa didn't raise no fool. The name of tonight's story is I've Been Playing Haunted House Since 1982 by Montsho Shelby.
I'm not sure if I'm real. I'm not sure if you're real, and I'm not sure if I'm having this conversation. I choose to think that you're real. I choose to think that I'm real, or else there is no story. Can't let a little existential dread destroy your day, right? I'm Xander, and I've been playing the same game for 40 years now. It's called Haunted House on Atari 2600. I'm 48, so if you did what regular people do and move on, it's a video game. I'm not exactly sure if it's the first horror game that was ever invented, but if it wasn't, it's pretty close. I have been playing this game for 40 years since it came out in '82. Back in the day, it was the pinnacle of cutting edge. The ghosts were terrifying, at least for a 9-year-old, and the blip bloops of the music put me on edge. If you were to look at it now, it looks like dots chasing dots in a blocky neon maze. Something that you wouldn't be able to even figure was a game by today's standards. I've played modern games, even liked a few, but I have played Haunted House every day of my life since my mother bought it for me in '83. I may have missed a day here or there if I was ever sick or away on vacation, but I absolutely always come back. I remember there was a time I must have liked the game, but that time has long since passed. I don't play the game for enjoyment anymore. It's like a biological need. I once went to a therapist to ask if there was anything like that, and she said it was arrested development when you have a trauma and you get locked into doing things you did as a child. And in fact, a part of you never truly moves on to adulthood. Personally, I never thought it was that because I'm not really a gamer. I'm not hooked on nostalgia. I don't watch cartoons and collect old Transformers. I'm a night guard for a gated community. I had friends, had sex, did all the adulting that one puts to the title. But in the case of this one thing, I cannot shake it. Of course you're thinking, I could just stop playing it if I wanted, right? Yeah, why didn't I think of that? What a genius you are. That was what broke me. That's why I'm here. That's why I can't tell what the fuck I'm looking at. After 40 years of admirable service, my Atari broke. It's absolutely amazing that it hadn't before now. Sure, I've had to change cords at times, but the console itself never crapped out on me. I was sad to see it go, but in the end, I thought maybe it was a blessing in disguise. It was like I was a drug addict that didn't truly break the addiction, but just couldn't find a fix. I decided that I'd use this as an excuse to be rid of the game and never play it again. I had played it 40 years straight. That was enough for a lifetime anyways. I won't lie, the first few weeks were hard. I had to think of things to fill the time I used to put into that game. Even got myself a hobby of banging on drums. When I finally reached equilibrium and finally thought that was the end of it, that's when the universe told me in a bold, resounding scream that it was not. It started with little white flicks of light that I saw when I was on the job. I'd see them from the corner of my eye. I thought maybe it was just an eye floater, a little dot of light that popped up in the iris of your eye and drifted in and out of your sight. I ignored it mostly. I figured it was just one of the many beautiful gifts that came with being old. As time moved on, I started seeing the dots more, and they became more and more obtrusive. I'd turn and stare at light, and it would make a pixelated effect, like I was seeing it in 8-bit. This, I realized, was not something as simple as an eye floater. This was something I was beginning to think was a medical emergency. I sought help. Optometrists and neurologists alike didn't have a clue what was up with me. As far as they could tell, it was nothing. One doctor speculated that maybe it was a trick that the mind played when it was sleep deprived. Me being a night watchman, my hours were odd and my sleep was a bit off. There was only so long a body could go without sleeping before one started to hallucinate. Out of all the theories I got, that was literally the only one, so I had to at least assume that that was the closest explanation that made sense. I took a little time off to get my sleep schedule normal, hoping that maybe that would put things right. If push came to shove, I'd have to get a new job that worked real hours. I dreamed I was in the game. I was those little rectangular eyes sneaking around the house trying to avoid ghosts. I saw the 8-bit pixelation and knew I had to find the fragments that were laid out through the mansion. I thought it was just a fucked up dream, and maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But when I woke up, I was in the old abandoned mansion on the hill I knew from my job that was part of the gated community I worked for. I had never been in that house. I was always there, but I had no reason to go in. I didn't know anything about the history of the house because no one knew or cared enough. I was starting to see things as 8-bit representations of themselves. Even in my waking moments, I'd turn to inspect something and it just revert to normal like a glitch in a video game. I hopped on Craigslist and found anyone who had an old Atari for sale. Sure, I'd go the typical eBay route or scour flea markets when I had the time, but I needed the game immediately. I got paired up with Mr. Hugh Nuggs. The name sounded ridiculous, I know. It made you think it was the name of an alien who hastily had to make up a name for his cover persona. We met in real life at a diner. I braved the dramatically timed pouring rain and endured the bright headlights of oncoming vehicles, all forming into 8-bit rectangular sprites. The diner sat on a corner with the lights on like a Norman Rockwell painting, but as told through my eyes if it were done by the makers of Minecraft. I sat at a table, and when people passed me, I could see around their seams 8-bit pixelation. Everything my eyes saw was filtered through this lens. Hugh Nuggs walked through the diner door, and I knew exactly it was him. This guy had to be someone named Hugh Nuggs. He was scraggly with long hair that was stringy and weak, eyes that were beady and hyper-focused like someone who drank coffee all day. And he looked like he smelled, even from a visual. He didn't disappoint me when he got close. He smelled like BO and cat pee. He had a black book bag, which made this transaction look like an underground drug deal. "You Xander?" he asked me before he sat. "Yeah," I replied. He slipped into the stall, looking around conspiratorially, as if they were chasing him. Whoever they were, you could take your pick. People like that always had something chasing them in their minds. $400, man. "Yeah, but for this amount of money, I need to at least see if it works." He nodded briskly, as if he figured that would be the case. "My van is right outside," he said. I immediately got colorful images of me helping him move a couch into his van and ending up in his well putting lotion on my skin, but in this case, I had to risk it. I was going to get checked out by a neurologist tomorrow, but if my vision got any worse, I wasn't going to be able to read text or distinguish buildings from one another. My world was going to be big blocks and little blocks, big blocks and little blocks. "Come on, let's do it," I said.